Hello and welcome to this demo, this solution review for the solution titled Personalized Weather and Travel Advisory for Sales Reps in Salesforce. The intent behind this demo or solution review is to showcase how recently we worked on an implementation of implementing Prompt Builder and also Agentforce Agent using personalized weather and providing personalized weather and travel advisory for sales reps in Salesforce. The intent behind this also is much larger. The idea is to show really how external data, in this case weather, but it could be anything, let's say customer sentiment, customer data, that can be used, and external data can be used, and we flow it into Salesforce. And using some of the recent features, AI features such as Prompt Builder or even Agentforce Agent, we are able to provide insights, actionable insights, rather than just data presented itself. So that's the overall overarching idea behind this demo and a review. And I'll give you some context, and that's why you are seeing this chart, this process map in front of you. So I want to begin with where we started with this. So the current status, and then I want to go into the prompt builder, particularly field generation prompt builder, and then the Agentforce agent. For the purpose of this particular demo, we will stick to the one in the middle, which is the field generation prompt builder, and the second one we will do the Agentforce agent. So the current status for this company was uh, they just had an action button which invoked an Apex, which used Open Weather API to get that information, get weather, the latest weather, 4-day forecast, and so on. And on the account page where this information was to flow in, there was an action button that called a flow, which called this Apex, and then those fields were updated, which were created on the account page, right? So that was the current status. And it was just lying there as an information which could be used by the sales rep, and you could bring that into discussion and just as a reference point, right? So the idea was, instead of having that as just fields being updated with that weather data, to provide some actionable insight, a weather summary. And that is where the field generation prompt builder comes in, because that's exactly what it does. It provides weather summary using Gen AI to generate a friendly, personalized weather summary and travel tip directly on the record page. And then later on, we moved a step further, and we went to Agentforce Agent, which acts as a smart assistant, and it pulls the weather data and then provides contextual travel advice interactively. So you ask a question, it will provide answers to it based on the fact that we have set it up to gather information, gather data from the weather API, Open Weather API. So the same data source, but different insights coming from the two features, that is the prompt builder and the Agentforce agent, right? So as I mentioned, today we will talk about the field generation prompt builder itself. And now that you have an idea of what we are trying to do, I want to show you the demo of the solution itself. And then I want to um, show you the process map of how it works in the back end, what prompt builder does, what information we get from the object, and so on. And then also what's happening under the hood in terms of the flows we set up, and the prompt builder template that we set up to make sure all of this works. All right. So let's go into this org. This is created for this particular demo itself, as we didn't want to go into the company's implemented solution. So some of the things would be pretty standard, what you see in a developer org, but that's just because of this being a demo. Um, so this is where typically a home page looks like, and then we go into the account record, and we'll pull up an account and literally show you how they had the field set up. So there was a section for weather update, and we had certain fields which were the forecast weather, as you can see on your on the screen: forecast weather, 4-day forecast, forecast temperature, and then when was this information updated. So basically just data out there. And how do you call it? You have this action button here. which essentially just calls the API, and then it says it's working on it, and that the weather has been updated as of this date and time. And if you now look at the record, you see that that information is now updated on the field. So what's the forecast weather? There is light rain. And what's the 4-day weather? So there is, on day one it's light rain, and by day four it's broken clouds and the temperature, as you can see. So um, coming from that point, uh, it was seen that the agents or the salesforce were not essentially using this as much as they thought they would. And the idea was to weave this information into conversations. It came from an idea previously where they wanted to use some icebreakers to just talk about stuff before they get into the business side of things. And this was supposed to be an helpful information available to them either while composing an email or when they're picking up a phone to talk to them, or even when they're making their travel arrangements to go and visit the client, right? But again, this information was not helping, but this is what they had. And from there on, the idea was that let's use the new feature, the prompt builder, to provide a summarized insight that is good to go, ready to go, and could be used as an insight. So that's where the field generation prompt builder comes in. And so a long text field weather summary was created. And if you see this one, this icon for the Einstein Agent AI, it's calling the prompt builder template that we had created. And here you get the insight. So here's a quick weather insight in London. This is where this account is. Currently it's so and so. Essentially using the same data that you see on the field, but now it's giving you more insights. You might want to bring an umbrella. Light rain is expected later today. Over the next few days, temperature will drop. So again, consistent with the data that we have. And then it says this can help build a relationship by demonstrating your attentiveness to their environment. So again, this is one insight. You could ask it to make it shorter, and then make it shorter, and then ask it a question, and it provides you a little bit more short and more concise information that you can use. And if you can see here, you will see that this is what is a weather summary. And if I save it, it's updated that insight on the field. A little bit more of a summary that you can use in your conversations, and temperature will drop slightly. So now you have this as an insight, an actionable insight that you can use in your conversations, emails, or whatever way you want to use. Again, the idea is think of it in terms of your own data sets. It need not be weather. In this case, it's weather, but it need not be. And how, instead of just throwing out numbers out there, how it can be used to provide actionable insights that can be used. And Prompt Builder, in this instance, was used to provide a summary. There are other examples of Prompt Builder that we will discuss in other demos where we have implemented them. Um, but this one in particular talks about summary of a weather, and it can be used. And you will see when we talk about the Agentforce agent how this is even more powerful, even though the data set is essentially the same. And that's the beauty of the solution that we have here, is it's providing an actionable insight. You know what? I'll actually show you what the Agentforce agent also does, just to show you the difference between the prompt builder and the Agentforce agent, and how both of them have their space in different scenarios and different use cases. All right. So show me the weather uh, for this account. Let's start with that. The Agentforce AI assistant is working on it, and it says, here's the weather. Today's temperature is around 22.8. Over the next few days, expect light rain. So similar to what you had here now, but here's the difference. Now, it gives you the information. It's not meant for updating on the record page. It's more like an insight that you can use, suggest a weather-related icebreaker for this account, right? So now it's going through its agentic power, and pulling out, based on this information, what you can use as an icebreaker. So do you have any favorite sport in the city to enjoy this kind of weather? Again, you don't have to use as is, but it kind of points to like favorite spots. Where would you go during this time, and so on. So again, it's a relationship building uh, that you can do based on this insight. Again, some more questions. How can I mention the weather to build rapport? Hello, I notice the weather is quite pleasant. Now, if it was me, I won't use exactly 22.88 degrees. It's not a weather information that I'm broadcasting, but I get the gist of it. I notice the weather is quite pleasant today. How's it going for you there? And how are you finding it? Any plans to enjoy the day? That's a good starter that I could use when I'm on a call with someone. I may have talked to them a few times, or maybe it's my first time, and I can use this information. So again, this is the power of Agentforce agent. While the prompt builder field generation provides you an insight. You can refine the insight. Obviously, the weather changes, so you will get a difference. So you can keep asking it to summarize prior to the call. You can use this information. You can just copy paste it and or modify it to use it in your emails that you will send out, and so on. There are so many use cases. So that's the power of a prompt builder that I wanted to show. Now that we have seen what it can do, I want to quickly show you what is happening in the back end, or how does all this work. And why this is important to understand is it is relatively easier to get something like this done with low code effort. The Apex that we had was already created. So again, the idea was not to break everything and create something new, which costs time and effort. The idea was to use what we already have and build on it and enhance the features by using Prompt Builder or some of the new AI features, such as the Agentforce Assistant or agent as well. So in this case, as you have seen in the demo, we had the object, right? So we had the object here, and we have the field weather summary, which is of type long text, and the field, the record page did have 4 fields that were updated directly by the action button. So in hindsight, if we implement the prompt builder, we can actually get some space back because we don't have to have those 4 fields um, display that information, because the weather summary field will showcase the insight that you need. You don't really need the data, you just need the insight. So how does this work in the backend? You have the prompt builder template, which we'll go into. I'll show you that in the setup. We have this prompt builder here. So we have the account. The prompt builder takes the account record ID because that it needs it to process. The record ID gives it all the information that it seeks. The prompt instructions that we built in ensures that the prompt knows what information do we need to get from the account. In this case, it needs the city and the country, two essential information required to provide the weather. And then in the prompt instruction itself, it looks for where do I get this from. So in that, there is a flow already created, which calls the Apex, which talks to the OpenWeather API or gets that information using OpenWeather API, comes back, provides that to Flow, which then updates the output in the prompt instructions. And now that the prompt has everything it needs, it has the instructions of what it needs to do, it has got the output data from the flow. Uh, from there on, it puts all of it together, uses its Gen AI capabilities, and then provides a field generation summary, weather insight summary that goes back to the account. All right. So this is in a nutshell what is happening. As you can see, all of this till the Apex is happening within the Salesforce. Here is where the OpenWeather API comes in, which is the external data. And again, as I mentioned in the initial part of the demo itself, that this is an example. It need not be OpenWeather. It could be any external source which you want to call through an API. Obviously, there are other cases where it may not just be API. You want to bring something, some hard data through Data Cloud. That's a different, again, another scenario, another use case we can talk to in later demos. But in this case, it's something like an OpenWeather API, right? So, and it brings in through Apex, and now it's available to the prompt builder to use to build insights, which can be used. In this instance, what it is doing is it has done something very critical. It has transformed Salesforce from their use as a system of record to now being an assistant in completing or closing the opportunities that they have in Salesforce. So it's moved away from being just a system of record that it used to be previously to being an agent, a friend that provides insights, that helps you close the deals, move faster, and complete the deals. And that's how this company is using the solution, the Agent AI, Agentforce features in its organization, right? So this is how the process works with Prompt Builder. Now I want to quickly show you how it is happening under the hood in the setup. So once the setup opens, I will take you to the prompt itself, the prompt that is powering all this. So let's quickly go there. I'm again not going into how to set up the Agentforce, like how to enable all this. If that is required, then I can talk about it in later demos as well. For now, the Agentforce Einstein features have already been enabled and we have been using them. And for example, in the prompt builder, this is generally the UI that you will see in the back end. And we have this one that we created. As you can see, it's called the Flex field generation. We also have Flex, record summary, and so on. Each of the types fulfilling different use cases. In another demo, in fact, for the Agentforce one, we use the Flex, not the field generation one. For obvious reasons, we were not generating a field insight. We were using flexible inputs, so to speak, and getting that into the Agentforce agent using a prompt template, right? So in this case, we use this one for the field generation bit. And here is the entire prompt builder setup. You can see the prompt section, which is for providing inputs, instructions, expectations from this prompt. So the roles and objectives, your goal, what is it that you're expecting from this template, the tone in which the response should be, the resources that you should use, and then the structure of your response. Now, if you do not give any part of this, it will still work. It is not that it won't work, but the output may not be the way you expect it to be because you haven't provided it with the guardrails of where it should, how it should provide the instance. So in this case, the response, the structure is provided. Like it has to start with, hey, there's a quick weather insight. Again, this is based on what we heard from the client, but it doesn't have to be this way. Again, everything in here that you see is is up to us to define. There is no fixed way of doing it. Maybe if you do not have such roles and objectives, your goals, you will still get a response. But are you okay with that response is something that we have to figure out. All right. So again, going back into each section of this prompt that we have to roles and objectives, you have a friendly and knowledgeable sales coach and travel advisor. So once you set that up as the role and objective, and if you see your goal, the second section, your goal is twofold. One is conversation starter, and the second is a travel guidance. Now, if you go back and check what it's trying to do, uh, in this case, we had, let's say, let's look at this again. It will try to give you both. So if you see the first section, it gives you information, conversation starter, and the travel tip. So you should mention the weather as a casual conversation starter, noting that London's weather is quite typical this week and suggesting a good indoor spot if you need to avoid. So it's giving you this, it's trying to fulfill this conversation starter as well as travel guidance in its insight. So if that wasn't the goal, let's say your goal was to use this, um, let's say you have field service and you are using it for providing information to your field service agents who will be out in the field with something much more actionable. You can define it here. This is the place where you'll define. And your tone, again, professional yet personable, friendly, clear, and helpful, right? So again, if the idea is to be something else, you can define it here. Now, finally, the resources that we have. So in this case, the weather data, as I mentioned in that chart here, it comes from the flow, and that is what is defined here. So the weather data comes from the flow. The client location is from the input, and as I mentioned here, you get the account record ID, and from that record ID, the prompt pulls up the account billing city and the billing country, right? So in case the scenario where the billing city or the billing country is not available, we have the structured response. So in case there is missing information handling, if either billing city or billing country is missing, looks like we are missing. So again, we're just saying, we just provided with what it should respond back and ask it for, right? So this is how it is. Let's say you want to add more um, input. So you have, again, as I said, you have the record ID. So you can pull more like account name, account phone number, whatever is required. Let's say the ISO code for the country. Again, this is all dependent on two things. What input does the flow require? And the flow, the way it's been configured, all we need is billing city and billing country. But if you want to address someone by the name of the account, let's say you can use the account name somewhere, and just add it. It's essentially it's just this, right? So it provides input account name. We don't need that, so we will keep it here just like that. And also, sorry, and also if you want to use more flows, this is where you go in and add flows. Again, the reason why I'm showing you this in the way I am is because I want to show you how easy it is once you set it up to add more resources, more flows. You can also add flow apex directly if it was configured. In this case, the apex is being called by the flow, so I'm not using that, and therefore you don't see that option, right? So that is about the prompt itself. There are two other sections that prompt builder template has. It's the resolve prompt and the generated response. This is for testing. So if you are reviewing it, you can see this entire set of instructions that you have put in. How is it used in the, how is it being resolved, and what is the generated response? So I will show you that. Let me, because I think I've touched something, so I don't want to save it. So I'll just refresh and I will now show you. Yeah, so we will go into the preview, and this time I want to use another account. Let's look at this Dickinson. Okay, so I have Dickinson. Before that, let's click on it and see if we already have something here. So no, so it's all empty. Um, Display the resolution, display the prompt. All right, I think this is sufficient. We have the instructions. So as you can see now, you see two screens here. Looks like we are missing the country. Are we missing the country? Lawrence, Kansas. No, sometimes I've seen this happen. You just have to preview it once again. It does provide. Yeah. So now let's look at the three boxes here essentially. So the one is the prompt which you put in. You put in the prompt resources and everything. The second is the resolve prompt, which is kind of like how the prompt builder is working or actioning the instructions that you have. It's going through, it's reviewing it, it's getting the data. In this case, if you see the current weather, temperature, everything that it needed from the flow, it is getting it back, and then it'll summarize today's weather, the city's location, Lawrence, country, United States, and then it has got everything it requires, and it has also figured out that the information is available in natural language, so it does not have to. The missing information check is not required here because it has got the city, it has got the country. So again, the beauty of this is that it's all in natural language, so it's easy to understand. And then finally, we have the generated response. So here's the quick weather. That's something that you've seen here already, but today is an overcast and so on. So the whole thing goes up here. And as you can see, a good conversation starter could be, I hope the overcast weather hasn't dampened your spirits today. I think that's a good one. I can use that. It looks like there's some light rain on the horizon, so we might want to plan something around that. So you, and again, that's a good one. And you can use it, modify it, and use it as is in your conversations. So these three show you from where we started. That's the prompt, how the prompt is resolved by the prompt builder, and how finally all of that comes together in the generated response, something that you can use, right? And if I was to do the exact, so let me update it because it might have probably already run. Yeah, so it did run the Apex because Apex, the way it is configured, is we are just using the Apex that is there. Um, the weather summary, though, let's create that one. Let me see if I can use this. There you go. So hey, have you noticed how overcast has been lately? It's kind of cozy. Do you enjoy these cooler colors, or are you more of a sunshine person? So as you can see, it is not a summary, but we modified it and we are using it to have a conversation starter. So again, you see the flexibility that's available. The Gen AI capability in the backend is providing you with the insight that you need. There are many ways of using the prompt builder. This is one of them, and it's providing a solution to the problem that was there, which was providing if I go here and look at prompt builder for weather, getting the weather data from Open Weather API and providing an actionable insight. So that was the problem set, and this was one of the solution that was provided. And there are many ways in which this can be used. The other way being the Agentforce agent, but I did want to show you this, the insights in the workings of the prompt builder itself. Now that we have seen the prompt builder, I also want to quickly show you the flow in action, because the flow also, there is a new type called the prompt builder type flow that has been used. So let's go into that. Again, if you look at here, it's the prompt flow. It's the process type. It's called this a prompt flow. The flow is being opened, and it's called as a template triggered prompt flow. And there are two options in it. You can use the manual input or the automatic input. Uh, Manual input was fine in this case. The automatic input, essentially, we're not going to change anything, but it allows you to use to provide what type of template you are going to use, which account, essentially doing a lot of the work that you can do with the manual itself. So for the purpose of showing you, I mean, we can talk about it at a later time, but the object should be the account. Yeah, there you go. Okay, oh, not that one. My system is a bit slow right now. Oh, yeah, my system is going a little slow. Here you go. So this is how you set up. So the object is account, field generation template, but we've already done that, as you can see in this flow. I don't want to make a change here, so I'll just refresh. And once it loads up, I'll show you the flow itself. So it's pretty simple. So here we are calling the Apex. The Apex, the way it's been configured, all it needs is the record ID from the account, which the flow gets from the prompt builder. So yeah, the prompt builder provides it with the record account ID. As you can see in this process chart, the account record ID does go to the prompt builder. So that's exactly what the flow is using, and is providing it to the Apex. Now, how is this configured? If you see, it's a record variable, and it is for the object account and the record ID in this particular format, so that it is able to take the record ID. So it has to be capital small r and capital I in the record ID. All right. And in addition to that, it's a very simple flow. We haven't done we haven't gone in we haven't got it as complex as some of the flows can be. But in this case, now we have four variables. As you can see, four variables were created, uh, which can take the record IDs, weather last updated, current weather, forecast weather, and the 4-day forecast summary, and then provide it to this prompt instruction, which you do see. If you are here, you can see this prompt instruction, which does show up when you're in the template triggered prompt flow. All you need to do is just click on it and then pass on the variable. So that's how we're using it. We are passing on the instructions, and I've given a little bit more context as to what should be done. But essentially what this is doing is um, it is assigning the variables that we got from the Apex. Apex has already updated the record. So these current weather temperature variables are being now passed with that information to the prompt instructions, to the template that will call this flow, which in our case is the one that I just showed, the weather prompt template. So the good part of this is that now that it's been enabled, if we have another use case, we can reuse this flow in another um, prompt, because if it's acting on an account object, this flow is available for it to be reused. So that's the good part. We can reuse these flows as well. Yeah, so this is the flows. I think this is what is there. That's what it's executing. So as you saw it here, the flow, Apex, open weather, it comes here, the prompt instructions and output. And finally, if you see the screen, you see something like this that provides you with the insight that you need. So that is our demo on the prompt builder field generation uh, solution that we had created for uh, this one, personalized weather and travel advisory for sales reps. So that concludes our first demo on this particular use case, and we will have another demo on the Agentforce agent. But if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me, and I can provide you with more insights, more information on how the solution was built. So once again, thank you very much for attending this, and I'm hoping this was of value to you in your quest for Agentforce AI solutions in your instances. So thank you once again, and please look forward to our next demo on the Agentforce agent on the same solution. So thank you.